Picture this: 1944, Europe. The German Wehrmacht, masters of the Blitzkrieg, terror of the continent, were still using over 1 million horses to move their artillery. Yes, horses, the same technology Napoleon used, the same way armies fought in the Middle Ages. Meanwhile, America had built something the world had never seen before, a mechanical beast so effective, so revolutionary, that it changed the entire nature of artillery warfare. And yet, history has almost completely forgotten it. This is the story of the M4 high-speed tractor, the unglamorous, unsung weapon that gave America an artillery advantage so overwhelming the enemy never stood a chance. To understand why this machine mattered, you need to understand artillery's oldest weakness. For thousands of years, big guns had one fatal flaw: they couldn't move. A heavy artillery piece was brought to the battlefield by slow-moving horses or inadequate trucks. It was then painfully set up in position, a process taking hours, and there it stayed, for days, sometimes weeks. In modern warfare, this immobility was deadly. Enemy reconnaissance planes could easily spot a gun battery's position, making it a prime target for counter-battery fire. And in a war of rapid movement like the Blitzkrieg, by the time the big guns were ready to fire, the battle had moved miles away. The Germans learned this the hard way. Despite their fearsome reputation for mechanized warfare, the Wehrmacht depended heavily on horses. Over 2.7 million horses served in the German army during World War II. Their artillery constantly lagged behind their own panzer divisions, arriving too late to support the infantry, screaming for fire support. Field Marshal Alan Brooke, Britain's top general, understood the truth better than anyone. It is with artillery that we will win this war. But only if you could get it to the fight. The U.S. Army was watching Europe's failures closely. They were committed to a revolutionary doctrine: total mechanization. Every part of the American military would be motorized. No horses, no compromises. But they faced a challenge. How do you move a 15-ton gun across mud, mountains, and bombed-out roads at the speed of a tank column? Trucks couldn't do it. They got stuck. They were too slow when towing heavy loads. Existing tracked vehicles were either designed for combat or too underpowered. The Army needed something new, a fully tracked, high-speed prime mover that could take their biggest guns anywhere a tank could go, at speeds that could keep pace with advancing armored columns. The solution came from Alice Chalmers, and it was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of designing a completely new vehicle from scratch, they took the proven chassis of the M3 Stuart light tank and completely reimagined it. The result was the M4 high-speed tractor, a purpose-built beast of burden designed for one mission: give American artillery the mobility of a panzer division. The M4 was a masterpiece of practical engineering. It used the same rugged suspension and tracks as the Stuart tank family. Its 210 horsepower Waukesha engine was mounted in the center of the vehicle, giving it perfect weight distribution for towing massive loads without the front lifting. This massive use of standardized, mass-produced parts meant the M4 was incredibly reliable and easy to repair in the field using common tools. But the M4 wasn't just a tractor, it was a complete mobile gun section. The large forward compartment carried the entire 11-man gun crew, protecting them from weather and small arms fire. The rear ammunition chest could hold dozens of massive shells, some weighing nearly 100 pounds each. This meant the M4 arrived at a firing position, everything arrived together: the gun, the crew, and enough ammunition for immediate action. No waiting for supply convoys, no vulnerability. For self-defense, it mounted the legendary M2 Browning .50 caliber machine gun, the most respected weapon in the American arsenal. With a top speed of 35 miles per hour, it could keep up with advancing tank columns, while towing regulations limited speed to 20 to 25 miles per hour with a gun attached. That was still 3 times faster than horse-drawn artillery. And the M4's high speed meant it could quickly unhitch, race back for more ammunition, or rapidly reposition to a new sector. The M4's mobility completely changed the rules of artillery warfare. It enabled what modern soldiers call shoot and scoot. A long-tom battery could race to a forward position, unleash a devastating barrage, and immediately pack up and relocate before the Germans could calculate their position and return fire. Heavy artillery was no longer a static, vulnerable target. It was a mobile, lethal hunter, and the M4 was the steed it rode. The impact was felt on every front. In Italy's rugged mountains, the M4's powerful tracks were often the only way to get big guns up steep, muddy, demolished roads. In the race across France, it ensured heavy artillery kept pace with Patton's racing Shermans, providing long-range fire support to smash German strongpoints from miles away. Under Lend-Lease, hundreds of M4s were supplied to British and Free French armies, giving their heavy artillery mobility they'd never had before. The Germans, still dependent on horses, simply couldn't compete. By the time their artillery arrived, American guns had already moved to the next objective. The design was so rugged and reliable that its story didn't end in 1945. After the war, thousands of surplus M4s were sold to civilian companies and other nations. They served for decades as logging tractors, construction equipment, and artillery haulers. Armies like the Dutch and Japanese used them as late as the 1970s, a service life of over 30 years for a vehicle designed in the desperate heat of war. That's longer than most modern cars last. This wasn't because there were no alternatives, it's because the M4 was simply that good. Simple, overbuilt, reliable. The kind of machine that refuses to die. The M4 high-speed tractor was never glamorous. It never appeared on propaganda posters. Hollywood never made movies about it. History books barely mention it, overshadowed by the tanks it served alongside and the guns it pulled. It was a humble, brutish, utterly utilitarian machine. But it was a true force multiplier. It was the linchpin of American artillery dominance. It gave the heavy guns the legs they needed to keep pace with the most mobile army in the world. The M4 is the perfect symbol of the American way of war. Victory wasn't achieved just with brilliant tanks and planes, but with the unglamorous, overwhelming, unstoppable power of superior logistics. While Germany was feeding horses, America was feeding engines, and that made all the difference. So, what do you think is the most underrated but essential support vehicle of World War II? Let us know in the comments below. And for more deep dives into the unsung heroes of the war, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because sometimes the most important weapons are the ones nobody remembers.